And welcome back, listeners and bookworms. Boy, do we have an episode for you today. First, I'd like to get through our sponsors. The first is occasionally having a good idea. Like all of us, Coca-Cola occasionally has had a good idea. Coca-Cola Oreo. Get it. I cannot believe how good this tastes. I would like to point out this is not a real sponsor. However, when I drink Coke Zero Oreo, I become overwhelmed by emotion, and I am trying to tell everybody I know that it is worth trying. If you haven't tried it, find it today. This episode is also brought to you by Warbreaker the Musical. This elite show, which features Silverlight's first fully World Hopper cast, will be coming soon to a system near you. Please note that as each of these members has held a Dawnshard, soon is a relative term. And finally, this episode is brought to you by Eurytheru's Basement. Nope, not that one. Joining me today is Stormlightmemes and Generic Entertainment. And I'm going to give you a big round of applause. And we are going to wait until Stormlightmemes comes back, because that's what we do up in here. As a brief aside, how did you feel about the sponsors?
Oh, that's awesome. You're moving up, getting sponsorships now.
Yeah. I mean, fake
awesome.
sponsorships, but they're there. They are there. All right. Stormlightmemes is back. So, joining me today, and eventually Griff will also be here, colloquially known as Car Guy and Guy That Is Too Close. He will be joining us. He is on his way. An accident has slowed him down. It's not that he's in the accident, but there was an accident. But joining me today, guests that we've had on before, but never at the same time. Now we know that they are two different people. Generic Entertainment and Stormlightmemes. Welcome. I'm going to do the applause thing again. All right. The first thing, before either of you say anything, I never would have thought that I would have longer hair than Nathaniel, but it happened. I've grown out my hair, and Nathaniel got a haircut, and that was actually a small piece of me while I was growing out my hair was like, I am going to have hair as long, but never longer than Generic Entertainment. And then it happened, and I watched one of your videos one day, and I was like, now I am the master. That was a real reaction I had. But thank you so much for coming on the show today. Nathaniel, I've been keeping up with your videos. You just put up Sunlit Man. You just finished reading Sunlit Man.
Yes, partly in prep. Actually, one of the main motivations for doing that video was because in preparation of this podcast, I was like, I have to get caught up before I go onto here. So that's why that happened.
I love inspiring and motivating. And I love when people get to tell me that they were motivated to do something because of stress.
That's exactly how I feel when you say that you were motivated to grow out your hair because of my hair.
Honestly, I just thought it was a good look.
Same feeling.
I thought it was a good look, and I was like, you know what? Yeah. Well, I mean, my wife wanted me to grow it out, and then I started to, and it went through a lot of really weird phases. But I thought, if Generic Entertainment, it looks good. I can do that. I can pull that off. You still look very nice. Your haircut is very nice. This is getting into a really weird spot where I'm not going to be able to back out from the compliments, but I don't need to. I feel full force on this.
Your hair looks awesome as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna.
And the hat.
Really, yeah.
Looks great. I think in previous podcasts I didn't see you on video, so I can't really compare.
I'm gonna say that I didn't hear what you just said because my headphones were off.
Oh, I said I think on previous podcasts I didn't see you on video.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Now that is true.
So for all he knew, you always had long, luscious locks.
Exactly.
And you
Exactly.
just completely dispelled that entire image that he had of you.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But Stormlightmemes, you're here. You're back. You were most recently with us for our Rhythm of War review. I think that happened in March.
Yeah.
It did happen in March. Welcome back. What have you been up to recently?
Oh, let's see. Cosmere related. I just finished my reread of the Stormlight Archive. I did a dive in through the Coppermind of Mistborn because I had just done a reread of the Mistborn series in time for the Lost Metal. So didn't feel like rereading it all again. So I did
Makes
Coppermind
sense.
review. My husband is reading Warbreaker for the first time, so he's giving me updates as things happen. So I feel like I'm rereading
That's very
Warbreaker.
exciting. Very
Yeah.
exciting.
There we
Well,
go.
Hi,
Griff's
Now I
Griff.
get
here.
to be here.
Hello,
I am
Griff.
here.
Hello.
You're
Hello.
alive. We're so happy.
I am. Yes, I ran into some traffic getting to where I was going, so apparently somebody rear-ended somebody else,
Hmm.
so they
Happens
were
all the time.
arguing. There was police and all that jazz, so
That's common.
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
I have a long commute to work, uh, usually about an hour both ways. So I typically see at least one accident a day, which
I
is
can imagine you do. And
horrifying.
I drive for a living, so I usually see multiple accidents per day.
Man, this is getting
Yeah.
depressing. We were just doing
Yeah.
introductions.
Sorry.
Congratulations on
It's okay.
surviving.
Yes, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
As an aside that I will take out, the little through Griff setup, all the windiness you hear, I will end up cutting all of that out except for when Griff is speaking. So don't feel concerned if that was going to be a concern. Probably not. All right. Now, this episode is special. This has been something we've been planning since the first time we had any guest host for a review on our podcast, which was, if you fine listeners remember, Generic Entertainment, helping us with our review and discussion on The Way of Kings, which is up behind me because this is how I've set my home up, and it's grand. So that was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago. It doesn't really
Yeah,
matter.
somewhere around there.
Wow.
And then we've been planning this for the last 7 months since March. So
Yep, because scheduling is a pain.
it is. But we are here and we're doing it. Now, listener,
Indeed.
you might be worried. Alex and Griff have been doing read-throughs and discussions on all of the preview chapters for Stormlight 5, Wind and Truth. And I haven't read the preview chapters, nor have I decided to listen to Alex's dulcet tones and funny voices as he reads the book. So I do not want to be spoiled. Fear not, listener. We are not going to spoil Stormlight 5 at all. We are not going to talk about the preview chapters whatsoever. And my vow to you right now is that I won't get caught up when I accidentally make rhymes. And second, I will make sure no spoilers happen by cutting them out. That's my vow. You can continue listening to the whole video spoiler free. But that's only for Wind and Truth. What we're going to do, the first part of the video will be spoiler free for everything except Stormlight Archives. So all 4 of the main books, plus Edge Dancer and Dawnshard, are free game. And then we will get into spoilers for the full Cosmere, not including Wind and Truth. And we will delineate that in an obnoxious way so you are sure to hear that we are going into spoiler territory. The way this is going to work is that I have decided I talk too much. So we are going to do it like this. I am going to ask the three other people in this video questions. They can be open-ended or not open-ended. I will specifically give them options to choose from, and then I will, to avoid overlapping speaking, generally, we'll go around. I will ask for responses from people specifically, and then we can get into a little discussion if there is discussion to be had, where I will not be moderating, but I will be moderating otherwise. The first question is actually a surprise question that I did not put in the document. I apologize for this. I thought about it in a Walmart parking lot earlier.
Wow.
How dare you?
We already have
I
a
know.
plot twist.
Yes. This is a doozy, and just bear with me through the whole thing. The question is Moash redeemable? Okay. You can either answer yes, and Sanderson will do it. No, are you storming mad? Or C, which I didn't put A and B for the first ones. I apologize. C, Moash is not only not redeemable, he is so unredeemable that it is proof that Sanderson is a god, because he has managed to create an antagonist so far removed from redemption that no religion can exist in either the Cosmere or real life that can bring him to it. Furthermore, this question is a joke, and I'm upset that you asked it. So, Nathaniel, we'll start with you.
I know this wasn't one of the options. I almost want to say that he is redeemable, but that Sanderson won't do it. And the reason I say that is because, within the context of the Stormlight Archive, I think redemption is a big theme. So I guess that's maybe one way you could argue that Sanderson could do it. And just like outside of the context of the Stormlight Archive alone, I think that redemption is something that can happen to almost anyone, someone. I don't know how controversial that is to say, but like given enough time, I think that most people can be redeemed. The reason I think it's unlikely to happen is partly because this whole book is supposed to take place over the course of 10 days. And that's just not enough time to give somebody a satisfying redemption arc, even if the book itself is the longest in the series so far. I feel like realistically, from like in diegetic time, it wouldn't be satisfying unless it's the worst case scenario for me would be something like a heroic sacrifice or something like that, which would be I would hate that. I don't think that would be satisfying at all. I think if he's going to be redeemed, it needs to happen like later on, like maybe in the second part of the series, if he gets redeemed at all. So I'll say that, but yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sorry that wasn't an answer choice. Stormlight. I'm just kidding. That was well thought out and well received. Stormlightmemes. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely in that same boat. I have done a few videos on this because it's one of the most talked about topics in Stormlight fandoms. I firmly believe that Sanderson has set up this whole concept of redemption as like it's a twofold. In order for a character to be redeemed, they have to want redemption and they have to take steps to actually achieve it. And it doesn't, like, those things don't hinge on the person's past and the severity of the things that they've done. It's the concept of it's always the next step. So what's the next step the character is going to take? And I think that there are characters who have chosen redemption, and then they do the things that earn that. And then there are characters like Amaram who have recognized that they've done something wrong, but then they don't take responsibility for it, and so they don't take the steps to earn redemption. And I think that Moash is another foil, and he is set up to be the yes, he can be redeemed, but because he doesn't want it and he doesn't seek it, then he doesn't get it. And so I think that just from a thematic standpoint, that is how it's going to play out. But it's also Sanderson, so he could always surprise us. Who knows?
He could. He could surprise us, and not necessarily in good ways.
Yeah.
For those of you attending Dragonsteel Nexus, there is a panel called In Defense of Moash. And I have also heard that Dan Wells will be handing out stickers that say, I love Moash.
I have seen those stickers on the clips from the podcast.
Indeed. Griff, what is your answer to this question?
I was actually in the same boat as the other two. I believe that he can be redeemed, but I don't think he will. I think that he has chosen escape from his feelings rather than processing and dealing with them. And that does not lend itself to a scenario where one can achieve redemption. However, I do think that he is going to die in this series, and I do think that he is going to die doing something good. I don't think it will be enough to fully redeem him, but I think it will leave him as a complex character.
Fair. I was thinking, as I often do, about one of the two deaths I won't forgive Sanderson for, and one of them is Elokar. And I was thinking, well, if I can't forgive him for Elokar's death, then I can't forgive Moash for that. But I'm not answering the questions, you are. Now, the rest of these questions, I'm glad that I made reasonable answers to, because you all clearly didn't like my answers for the first one, which was fine. That was fine. I was definitely, there's a logical fallacy in what I did there. Oh, that was part 2. That was almost spoilers.
Now,
all right.
I will say that I think it's funny that we all selected the choice that was not listed. So what if that was actually your plan this whole time? You specifically left it off of the list so that we would all choose the thing that was not presented. So I think that I'm going to opt for you have strategically made it to where we all choose that. You're the mastermind behind that.
That was the plan all along.
Written in the diagram.
Yep. Ooh.
You weren't completely aware. You forgot about it after you wrote
Another
it when you made the stat line.
I love it. Alex has no idea what to say to that.
All right, so
moving on.
You know what? Think of that what you will.
I will.
I will neither confirm nor deny.
Dope.
Indeed. All right. This first real question is an easy one. I enjoy it. I think you will too. Listener and or bookworm, if you have an opinion on these questions, please put them in the comments. Spotify has comments now. We got our first Spotify comment. It was wonderful. I can heart it. Please comment there if you are listening to this on Spotify. Stormlightmemes, I'm coming to you first with this one. This is open-ended. What is the most shenanigans Lift gets up to in Wind and Truth?
I think that she is going to lead her own little heist. I want to say that she's going to try to steal something from Odium. I don't know what. But I almost like a Mistborn type of crew of her own, of a bunch of half-grown ne'er-do-wells just like her, and they are sneaky and slippery, and she leads them, and is, I mean, as lift as she can be during the whole thing.
You know, that's why the book is so long. There's actually a whole Mistborn inside of it.
It is big enough to fit the final empire in there, and then the rest of the story. That is so true.
Absolutely. Griff, we're coming to you next. What's the most shenanigans?
I think, I agree with Stormlightmemes. I think she is going to create a heist crew. However, I think instead of stealing something from Odium, she is going to raid the entire kitchens of Urithiru.
I love that.
That is well within character and not on topic at all with the rest of the story, which makes sense. It's shenanigans. Nathaniel,
Exactly.
What are you thinking?
I would love if there's just a comedic side plot that's completely unrelated to the rest of the story going on. But I guess if I had to say, I mean, obviously Lift is going to be like more of a main character in the second half of the series, is what we know so far. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens with her and the Night Watcher, because we know that she has like connections to the Night Watcher. I have no idea what, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got like a scene that maybe further develops her and sets her up for whatever she's going to do in the sequel, and if that's related to the curse that she has, or the interactions she's had with the Night Watcher. That's a very vague prediction, but
I like it though. I like it. Do we feel any discussion on that? Anybody want to comment on anybody else's?
I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Lift and the Night Watcher are going to have some sort of connection moving forward. And if it's anything like the indicative where Taravangian and Odium ended up, and it's being hinted that Dalinar and Honor might end up, I think we might also be seeing another vessel for cultivation, though there's no guarantee on that.
Sure. Makes sense.
I will.
If there's nothing, go ahead.
So I would like to blend my prediction with Griff's, in that I think that the thing that Lift is going to try to steal from Odium is his food. I don't actually even know if Odium eats, but if he does, that's what she's going to try to steal.
Oh no.
I don't know if he does eat. I'm sure that he can if he chooses to.
Yeah. I mean, that's her thing. She just wants to eat their dinner. And so
it's true.
At some point,
it's true. That is her major motivation.
Yeah, she's going to face off with him, and they're going to ask what she's going to do. And she's like, I'm going to eat his dinner.
And she's going to actually be supercharged by that because it's invested food.
Oh, man. And she's going to go Super Saiyan in her own little way.
Yes. Exactly.
None of these are real predictions from me, by the way. Alex is holding his head like, why is this discussion happening?
I don't want to think about invested food.
Honestly, I could see that being an investiture method on one of the planets.
Mm-hmm.
For Lift, all food is invested, though. So,
I
mean, no, she transforms food into investiture. The food itself is not invested.
Okay, fair enough. For all intents and purposes.
I could definitely see invested food being a magic system on one of the planets where chefs are, considered like master magicians, effectively.
Secret Project 6 coming next year.
There you go.
Ratatouille, but Sanderson.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I could see that happening.
Oh no. In the latest episode of Intentionally Blank, Dan Wells did state how much he disliked Ratatouille.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's bound to happen. Well, yeah.
Well, they are always talking about food heists and Intentionally Blank, though. So that is at least some reason to think that would happen in the Stormlight arc eventually.
I mean, to be fair, in a loose way, is not the plot of the Arithmetist and the plot of Ratatouille very similar?
I haven't read it.
Me neither.
Oh, okay, well.
Neither have I.
Oh, so I'm the only one here who's read. Okay, well, all right.
Oops.
You're the ultimate Sander
That's
fan.
right.
I am apparently the only one
That's
here who's
right.
read Arithmetist. It's a good book, and I think he was originally intending it to be part of the Cosmere, but then it ended up not being. So
That is what he said. We are going to move on to question 2. And Griff, we're going to start with you. And I did promise
okay.
to not get caught up on rhymes. So here we go. Will Hoid say another ideal? And if yes, what truth will he tell?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think yes. I think he will. And I think it'll probably come near the end of the book.
Okay.
And I can't give any specifics necessarily, but I think it is going to be a truth that applies to the course of the Cosmere plot as a whole and not specifically something to do with Roshar or his current persona of wit.
Sure.
It might
Okay.
even be his ultimate goal for gaining all of the different investiture systems.
That would be revelatory. Nathaniel, coming to you. Will he say another ideal?
Do we know what level he's at?
We don't.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like maybe not, because he's still mostly a side character. But I could see something like that, like what Griff is saying, happening, because we are getting to the point in this series where Sanderson is not holding back at all anymore with just dropping critical bits of Hoid lore and just World Hopper lore in general. I could see that happening, but it would be very confusing,
Sure.
potentially.
It could
Yeah.
be. Okay.
I
It would
will
be interesting,
add
though. Yeah.
that I think if he makes that revelation, he'll be doing it alone. He won't be doing it with any. I mean, apart from his friend,
Yeah.
nobody else will be there to hear it.
Okay. Stormlightmemes. What are you feeling?
So I don't really know, because honestly, I kind of didn't even realize that he had already spoken an ideal. Like, I know technically he has to in order to have bonded design. So I recognize that
Right.
he has to have said, and I think we even see him say or hear him say, life before death at the end of Oathbringer. But I don't recall on page him telling a truth to get. And so, because I haven't seen what kind of truths he tells to advance in being a radiant, part of me wants to say no. Like, he's already gotten the bond that he wanted so that he could become connected to Roshar, I think. My understanding of how investiture and connection works completely went out the window as soon as I read The Sunlit Man. So that's a whole different conversation altogether. But all that to say, I'm going to lean towards no, just because he seems to get what he wants out of connecting to the investiture of the planet, and then he just leaves it at that. And I think he's gotten what he needs for what he's trying to do.
Interesting. Good theory. This question was in part from the Sandbox's video that he made with Bookborn and Two to Ramble and an author whose name I keep forgetting. I apologize if you happen to watch this video and I did not remember your name. They briefly talked about that and wished they had more time to discuss it. So we were continuing on that question for them. If any of them sees this, thank you. On to number 3. Oh wait. Does anybody want to comment?
I will comment one thing,
Yes.
which is I think if nothing else, Hoid would at least say the first ideal, not the ideal to initially bond this friend, but the one after that, which gives more Stormlight and better control over the powers. Because I
Mm-hmm.
agree that he wouldn't have much use for a shard blade, especially if his situation is the same as Zellion's in the Sunlit Man, um, where a shard blade might not prove the most useful tool for him. But I think the additional stores of Stormlight and greater control over the powers of transformation and um, light weaving would be something he would want to achieve.
Interesting. I'm going to do my best to cut out the Sunlit Man
Shit.
spoiler from
Yeah.
that.
Sorry.
That is okay. I made a vow and I will uphold it. All right, on to question 3. Nathaniel, we're coming to you.
Yes.
Will we see Azure or Zahel again in Wind and Truth? Let's say yes to either one, yes to both, or no to both.
I hope so. With Zahel, I hope we at least get an answer to what he was doing during Rhythm of War. I wouldn't be surprised to see him popping up and at some point early on in the book, and us getting an answer to what he was up to that whole time. It seems mighty suspicious that he just disappeared.
That is suspicious.
Yeah, it seems like there's like a loose thread that's dangling there. With Azure, maybe less likely that she would show up, but of course, Azure. Maybe less likely that she would show up, but I would love to see a reunion between the two of them and Nightblood. Would that be too much to ask for in this book that's already going to have a lot of stuff in it? Maybe. But we do still need answers about how she ended up on Roshar in the first place, and same with Zahel. We might not get those answers, but it would be neat to have at least a hint of them.
That would be wonderful. Stormlightmemes, what do you think?
I am about 99% confident that we'll see Zahel again. I think that just because of how important he's been in all of them leading up, well, I mean, obviously in Rhythm of War, he, like you mentioned, he ducked out mysteriously, but at the very beginning, he has this very important conversation with Kaladin. And so he's a very central and strategic character that it would be very strange for him not to show up in such a pivotal book with so much writing on the line for Roshar. And he has mentioned that he's, very invested in what happens, not just from a investiture invested standpoint, but also like is he has interest in what happens to Roshar. So it would be strange for this big pivotal point narratively and from an in-world I guess conflict standpoint for him to just not show up at all. Azure, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of on the fence, just because while she was very important in Oathbringer, we didn't really see or hear much else about her in Rhythm of War. And so part of me is like, yes, it would be really cool. But the other part of me thinks, well, it also makes sense if Zahel goes into the back half of Stormlight and then Azure becomes a bigger character, like a side character, but still a bigger component in the back half. And we just don't really see her in this one. So I'm gonna go with yes to Zahel, maybe to Azure.
Okay, solid. Griff, what are you thinking?
Yes, I think we'll see Zahel again. I think it would be interesting, though I'm not sure how likely it would be for him to take up mentoring Lift in her powers and in being a Knights Radiant more than she has been so far. I could see it going maybe about 50-50, but considering we've seen him mentor several other fledgling Knights Radiant, I think it's a possibility.
Okay.
I just
On
see the two of them
Azure,
bickering a lot.
oh yeah,
That would...
absolutely. It would be a very consternating relationship. But he was um, instrumental in training Renarin before Renarin. Well, I don't know. It was actually while Renarin was a Truth Watcher, right? Because like that's
Mhm.
why he couldn't hold the blade. I don't know exactly when he bonded his friend. Actually, thinking about it.
That's actually been a point of conversation between me and a friend of mine, is that as we went through and reread The Way of Kings and Words of Radiance, we were like really paying attention to Renarin and his reaction to the blade. And he doesn't seem to have a big reaction to it until um, the arena. And
Okay,
so we think that there's the bond must have happened somewhere between um, him earning the blade and then the arena scene.
interesting. Okay. Secondly, I always found it, and this is an entire tangent aside, but I always found it interesting that Knights Radiant never had any reaction to the shard plate, only the blade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was theorized that the kind of dumbspren don't have the same effect because they're not
Okay,
dead in
yeah,
the
that makes
same
sense.
way.
Mm-hmm.
They're not Deadeye.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to Azure, I think we are going to see her, and I think that she is going to come in and be involved with something we have discussed, but I guess would probably be considered spoilers.
That's reasonable.
So I am going to go no further than that.
Here's something to tickle your brains. In Oathbringer, Azure was heading towards Cultivation's perpendicularity to get out of Shadesmar. In Rhythm of War, which doesn't happen that long after the end of Oathbringer, one of the first things that Rock does is leave to the Horneater Peaks, which is where we know that perpendicularity is, at least at that time. We also know that Sanderson's going to write the Horneater novella at some point in the near future when he misses Roshar. Are we thinking maybe Azure could be seen there? That's what I'm thinking.
Possibly.
It's all possible. It's all possibilities. Dang it, Sanderson.
I did think that the time gap between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War was a year. Am I wrong about that?
Was it a year?
Yeah, it was about a
Okay.
year, if I recall.
Then I'm wrong.
No.
And that is not the first time.
That doesn't mean that they can't cross paths. It's very possible
That's true.
that Azure does, because I mean he does
Yeah,
put her over there
one
in
time.
that general vicinity. And we haven't seen her since. So it's possible that she's still there.
She could just...
She's
She'd
just
just be
hanging out
hanging
with
out.
the Hornets.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, that actually develops my plot or my idea even further. But again, it's in spoiler territory, so
fair enough.
Then we will save it for later or never, depending
yes,
on what kind of
that's
spoiler.
unfortunate.
Is it? You can always text me, Griff. I'm here for you.
Thank you.
As your
I might
podcast
talk about
co-host,
it on our next reading, just to at least get it out there.
That's reasonable. Let's go on to question number 4, which is one of my personal favorites, Stormlightmemes. Is Rysn going to use her Dawnshard, and how?
Oh, I kind of wish you had started with somebody else, because
Griff.
my brain has not fully grasped what Dawnshards do, just in general.
Well, neither has most everybody else's brain.
Okay, cool.
Because that's where we're at. Here's what we have. There's a lot of stuff I'm not going to say because of spoilers, specifically for other things that are spoilers, if I even say them. Spoilers. What we do know is that Rysn is considered to be the Dawnshard now. She has a heightening of what seems to be up to the 5th heightening. She has, I guess, that much investiture. And we know that to use the Dawnshard, which hers is specifically change, she would need to use investiture to make the command happen. And that's what we've got.
Okay. That kind of helped, but only barely.
You're welcome.
Jeez, I don't.
I can take this initially if you want to still ruminate on your theory.
Yes, please do. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. So to answer this question, yes, I do believe she is going to use the Dawnshard. I'm not entirely sure what she is going to do with it, but I have a feeling it's going to. Oh God, that's still spoilers. There are some pivotal key things occurring in Wind and Truth that we are aware of that I feel like her using the Dawnshard is going to be instrumental in. I also think that Chiri Chiri is going to be instrumental in ensuring that she does not suffer consequences that are also spoilers.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Nathaniel, we'll come to you.
I like that idea. I don't think I can elaborate on it.
All right. You're going to bandwagon with Griff. That is a valid option.
I mean, I do want to say, I feel like I remember Sanderson saying something about Dawnshard, the novella, not being relevant or necessary to the main plot of the Stormlight Archive when he first wrote it. But I could easily see him going back on that.
Sure.
Because I don't know, something about that. This might be totally unsubstantiated, but I seem to recall him saying that this is more relevant to the broader Cosmere than just to the Stormlight Archive. And it sort of makes sense because there's a lot of Cosmere shenanigans in that book. But yeah, I could easily see that not being the case.
I mean, I think you're totally right there, that it really could just be a, hey, this thing is happening at the same time, but it's not important for you to know yet. Has that helped you, Stormlightmemes?
It makes me feel better in my lack of confidence, because it feels like there's lack of confidence in like a prediction in general. So I feel like I'm not alone in that.
Indeed.
I feel like I don't think that she would use it in this book.
Okay.
I think that this is definitely like part of my brain treats this book as the end. And so I want to think that all of the big important things are going to happen in this book. But obviously there's still a back half that's going to be very important to the Cosmere. And so part of me thinks that it will happen in the future, but it won't happen just yet, like in Wind and Truth. I hope that's not a cop-out answer.
No answer is a cop-out answer when we're doing it for funsies.
Challenge accepted.
Oh boy. Sanderson has said that the end of the first arc of Stormlight is similar to an anime arc ending. So I don't think we're going to get all the questions answered, but I like your hope.
I do too.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of like subplots like that I could see not getting resolved in this book and continuing over. Also with like regards to the interludes. I know there are already some interludes earlier on that have like gotten continuations, but I could see a lot of them like just not getting any resolution at all and setting up more stuff in the future books.
Absolutely. This next question, unless anybody has anything else to say.
I do have something else to say.
Go for it.
Is that I don't know whether or not it's going to be huge, but I think we're at least going to see Rysn start practicing her abilities under the Dawnshard. if not using it in a major fashion.
Hard disagree. She has no access to investiture, and she promised that she wouldn't bond a spren. So on Roshar, unless something
Well, okay, so here's the thing.
Go
Does a
for it.
Dawnshard give you access to taking in investiture regardless of whether or not you're bonded to a spren?
That is a good question. Why would the Sleepless make sure that she doesn't bond a spren if that were the case?
Fair point.
Because,
Though at the same
well,
time, there is also other investiture that we know is
There is.
bouncing around that I'm not going to extrapolate on.
There is. You're right. Nathaniel?
Sorry.
I was gonna say this might be too spoilers, so you can cut this out.
Okay.
But there are reasons to think that holding a Dawnshard could also be harmful to a spren.
That's true, actually. Yes, that's a good point.
And I am going to, for those of you listening, I did just cut that portion out. And this next part I'm also going to cut out. But for the sake of our discussion between the four of us, I see your point. That does raise the question, devil's advocate, do the Sleepless care enough about one spren to be like, hey, this would hurt your spren, don't do it, versus using the Dawnshard at all is dangerous, don't bond to spren so you can't access investiture.
Okay, well, hold on. Now, if we're just leaving this as discussion between the four of us.
Yes, briefly though, because
what if
time...
it's the fact that there is an inherent negative reaction between the spren and the Dawnshard? Because we don't... I mean, again, this is just between the four of us. We don't know exactly what led to whatever happened with Zellian and his use or his holding of the Dawnshard, and I am drawing a blank on his friend's
Auxiliary.
name in that book. Auxiliary, thank you. We don't know exactly what happened. We know that it was a tragedy. We know it left Auxiliary in the state that Auxiliary is in. But past that, we don't know much. So there could be some sort of violent or catastrophic chain reaction that could cause something more than just whatever happened to Auxiliary.
Specifically, Nomad mentions near the beginning of the book that his Dawnshard reached out for more investiture and found it in Auxiliary. So Sigil was powering it with investiture, ran out, and it turned to Auxiliary, and Sigil barely stopped it.
Do we know what happens when Chiri Chiri takes in investiture?
I believe she eventually poops it back out. Also, I'm going to cut this to put in the spoiler section, so this is not wasted conversation.
Fair enough.
But I'm going to keep the poop joke in because I think it's hilarious to think about pooping investiture. Surely that's going to be one of the forms of investiture somewhere.
As the editor of this podcast episode, I feel like you have way too much power.
Also, general statement, if there's anything you feel like we should cut, please email me. I will highly consider it. If it's something that pertains to what you have said specifically, I will absolutely cut it, and so on. That's a standing thing.
So I can't
if you are uncomfortable with anything.
I can't just email you and tell you to cut everything that Griff has said so far. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that.
Hey now. I don't think my answers have been that bad.
They haven't, Griff. It's okay.
I'm just kidding, Griff. I would not do that.
I know.
Okay.
My God. Okay. What does happen to Chiri Chiri's? In fact, you know what? If we have time at the end, go ahead, Nathaniel.
Consider if we are still on the spoiler section. Yes. Considering that there is canonically a planet where there are like small slug-like creatures that communicate by farting, if I'm recalling that correctly.
That is
in the Cosmere.
Pancake
if that's canon, then that your theory is not too bad.
I'm just saying that since Chiri Chiri eats investiture, I could very well see her being a storage and a source of investiture that the sleepless ones might not have considered.
That is valid. And also to just briefly state what Rysn could use as investiture, she could be given breaths. She could drink some straight Aeon or
Oh,
use that
absolutely.
however
There's
that
like
works.
the whole. Yeah, they've found ways to store various forms of investiture.
Yeah.
So
So there are ways it could happen. I feel like in 10 days, similar to the Moash thing, like, can it really happen within these 10 days? Probably not.
Fair.
But now we are going to end that spoiler section and come back to the non-spoiler section. This question is going to be different. This is going to be a round robin until all of you have passed. So if you run out of ideas, just simply say pass. And when everybody has passed, we'll move on to the next question. We are going to start. I don't know any more Stormlightmemes. We're coming to you.
Okay.
Who dies by the end of Wind and Truth?
Do I just lift? Do
Make
I
just one
just
character.
one character? Okay, Adolin. Do I have to explain?
No,
Okay, I'm sorry.
it's fine. Griff,
Moash.
Nathaniel,
Zeth.
Stormlightmemes,
Um. Dalinar. I'm sorry. I feel like you've looked at me with the most disappointed disgust. Am I doing this wrong? Am I supposed to give like people we hope die?
No, it's fine. It's fine. Griff,
I'm sorry.
Renarin.
Wait, what?
Renarin? All right, we're going to have to start doing some explanations. No, we don't. We don't need to.
No.
Bring it back. Nathaniel,
Syl.
Stormlightmemes.
First, I want to do a quick check-in. Are you okay, Alex?
I will
Okay, because
I think he's going through the 5 stages of
yes,
grief.
that's what I'm witnessing. Like this is
By the way, I think we're all predicting that this is going to happen in like the same chapter, like all
Yeah.
at once.
Of course.
It's just going to be like a dump
It's just
truck
gonna
of
pepper it all
character
in.
deaths all at once. Yeah.
Stormlight Archives is actually grimdark.
Mhm.
It was all along.
As it turns out.
Everybody's gonna die except. Actually, it's gonna be everyone except Moash.
He's gonna be the one standing at the end.
Wow. All right, Stormlightmemes.
The Lopen.
Griff.
Oh, I'm drawing a blank on the name. Who's the one that's training all of the new Windrunners right now?
Scar. Well, actually, that's spoilers.
Oh shit! Yeah, it is. Okay, well, you know who I'm talking about, and it's that person.
I'm going to tell you his name, and then I'm going to go Griff, and then you're going to say his name, and I'm going to cut all of that out.
Okay, fair.
Okay, his name is Scar.
Yes. So,
All right. Griff.
Scar.
Nathaniel.
Are we just going around? How many times are we going around?
Until everybody passes. So if
You mean like every character dies?
that is
No.
how it
If
works.
you think that we have reached the peak of everyone who is going to die, and you can't think of anybody else who's going to die in the book, you can say pass.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Because the way it was written on the sheet, until everybody passes, I was like, until everyone passes away, until all the characters are dead.
I'm not that smart. All right.
No, I wasn't.
No, that's
I
really,
just wanted to make sure that we weren't like
absolutely. Nope. It is
killing everyone off.
And you don't have to agree with the other people. So, nope,
Okay.
you do actually now. No, I'm just kidding. You don't. But as long as there's a character that you think will die that hasn't been said, you don't have to pass. So, what do you got?
Pattern?
Stormlightmemes?
Venley.
Griff?
Pass.
Nathaniel?
I'm going to pass.
Stormlightmemes.
Pass.
Okay. So, what we're going to do there, if I remember, after the book is out and I've read through all of it, I'm going to go tally up who was right, the most right, and you'll get a shout out and maybe something else, but probably not.
Oh,
Just a shout out.
worth it.
Yeah, worth it. Worth it, absolutely.
Can I point out,
Bragging right.
before we move to the next one, can I point out that nobody said Kaladin?
Impressive.
Which I think is
His
interesting.
fate
Yeah, I
could be
don't think
much
Kaladin
worse.
is going to die.
Me neither.
Much worse, Nathaniel?
I'm saying there is the theory that he could become the new Taln,
That's true.
Yeah.
That
which
would
I don't
be-
like. I don't like that
No.
theory, but
That's not a good theory.
it
No.
could technically happen.
That's like cracking open an egg and finding out that it smells bad. That's that kind of theory.
I have a theory, but it's only because of the new chapters, so I can't say what it is.
That is
Yeah.
correct. All right. This one is either open-ended and you get to choose whoever, or you can answer no one. In Wind and Truth, Griff, who takes up a shard?
Dalinar. I'm
Okay.
going to say that I think Dalinar takes up honor. I'm 50-50 on whether or not Taravangian is going to lose Odium and we're going to have somebody else take that shard up, but I don't think so. I could see it happening, but I don't think it's going to. So I think Dalinar is going to take up Honor's shard though.
Okay. And Nathaniel?
I could see Taravangian losing Odium. Partly because I feel like the conflict with Taravangian is very it's very thematically relevant for like the first part of the series, where he is sort of like the antithesis of Dalinar in a lot of ways. With Taravangian being like this ruthless pragmatist, and Dalinar being this person who is more focused on, moving on from his past actions and always being a better person every day, and like focused on personal development and things like that. So like the conflict between those two people makes me think that conflict might take a central role in this book, and then Taravangian could pass away and Odium would be someone else for the second half. But I hold that idea very loosely, and I don't know who a good candidate would be for
I'm
who
also
would
going
take
to
up
jump in
Odium.
here and say that I do not believe that the Stormfather is going to deign to become a Shard Blade until Dalinar takes up Odium's Honor's shard.
Wow. Okay.
And then the Stormfather is going to deign to become a blade.
That's a cool theory. We'll see. We'll see.
But yes.
Nathaniel, were you done?
Yeah.
Cool. Stormlightmemes?
I think briefly Kaladin. I don't think he'll hold on to it.
Okay.
Are we allowed to give spoilers for Mistborn? I can't remember.
Not yet.
Okay. And I think that Taravangian is going to lose the shard of Odium to Zeth.
Spicy.
That's a I think we have different definitions of the word spicy.
I think this means spicy as in an
Like a hot take.
unusual theory. Yeah, like a
Okay.
Yeah,
hot take,
it's a hot,
an
it's a hot take.
unusual
Okay,
theory.
that's fair.
Is that what was your definition of spicy?
How much are you on Book Talk?
I'm not.
Okay.
Oh no. Oh
Yeah, it's a very
no.
She was
different.
talking about a spice. She was talking about a spice level's definition of spicy.
Yeah, I was kind of confused for a second. Now I understand what you mean. So I'm sorry. I feel like I just keep disappointing Alex a little bit more.
I feel underprepared and
I'm so
overwhelmed.
sorry.
It's not on you.
I mean, to be fair, with all the fan fiction out there, I'm sure it's been done at some point.
Yeah. Um.
Oh
Hey,
no.
what's the next
Nope, we're
question
gonna
there,
move
Alex?
on. We're going to take this into a speed round. The answer is either yes or no. Don't read what was after the. If you're on the thing, don't read what was after the. Okay, Nathaniel, does the Oath Pact get reforged?
No.
Stormlightmemes.
No.
Griff.
No.
All right, you get one answer. You get one word answer to this next question. We're going to start with Stormlightmemes. Who will be Odium's champion?
Oh shoot, I had. Oh, Adolin.
Griff.
Moash.
Nathaniel.
L.
All right. This is also a yes or no. Nathaniel, will there be a third bondsmith by the end of the book? Maybe I was supposed to start with Griff. It doesn't matter. Nathaniel, you go.
No.
Stormlightmemes.
Yes.
Griff.
No.
Okay. And then this one you can elaborate on. Who is going to win the contest of champions? Stormlightmemes, we'll start with you.
Wit.
That's guaranteed.
Ooh,
Griff?
is that a cop-out answer? That's now
He
my
always
goal.
wins.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, that wasn't a cop-out answer because we're doing this for funsies.
That's true. Yep.
No.
Dalinar.
Okay. Nathaniel?
Odium.
Okay. Actually, yes, Stormlightmemes, that was a cop-out answer. I'm changing my mind.
Okay.
Now, I want to get into a special section of this part, and part of me is sad we're going to keep it spoiler-free, but we are going to keep it spoiler-free. Nathaniel and Stormlightmemes, when we've had you on before, you have both had responses and discussions or like monologues about the themes in the books that you helped us review and discuss. That blew me away, which is easy to do. I'm easily impressed.
Oh, that
So
just
it's not a high
took
bar.
that compliment right out.
However,
I mean, that's faint praise.
I do have to say I'm easily impressed because I'm an eternal optimist. However, those things have stuck with me for over a year now, which is impressive given my horrible memory. So I want to take a moment for you all to discuss what themes will be prevalent throughout the book. And if you feel like it, you can discuss how. Feel free to take as many themes as you want or focus on a central one. Who would like to start this?
I can start it.
Okay, Griff.
I think one of the themes is going to be hard decisions.
Okay.
Or perhaps maybe better put, decisions with no right answer.
Okay. And what are you envisioning for that?
Not getting into spoilers too much, I have a feeling that the Contest of Champions is going to end up that way, especially with some of the things that have been brought up. Well, actually, no, that's not spoilers. Um, Taravangian himself, when he picked up Odium's shard and he was reviewing the contract, he was saying that he could work with it. And so I think that when it comes to the Contest of Champions, Dalinar is going to realize that no matter whether he wins or loses, Taravangian is going to be able to take advantage of the outcome.
That makes sense. Nathaniel.
Yeah, I'm not sure I know which specific spiel you're talking about, but I can guess. Well, did you want to elaborate, or do you just want me to?
Wait, are you talking to
Okay.
me?
Oh no, Alex.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to elaborate on
On what I said in the past, that when I was talking about the themes in the Way of Kings,
that is correct. You don't have to. I mean, this could be the main reason I wanted to talk about themes here is because you all did fantastic things and tickled my brain in the past. I'm not expecting like God level insight here. The book hasn't been released, but
So you're
that is
trying
why
to
you're here.
recreate the magic of what we've done in the past. We are your puppets, and we are dancing on the string. Is that?
Stormlightmemes, ever the heckler.
I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to be. Or am I? I don't know anymore.
I think you are, but it's entertaining, so keep
Okay.
doing it.
If it ever becomes like it sounds malicious, please let me know. I never want to be. Or do I? Dun dun. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting us off topic.
I feel like it's very light heckling, but Alex's lack of response is what makes it feel worse than it
Okay.
is. It's like you start joking, and then Alex is kind of like,
Yeah, the silence
yeah.
is like a gut punch. I'm like, I know, was I too mean?
Anyway, back on
You're
topic.
totally
Yes, but
valid.
mean.
You're totally valid, Alex. Okay. Should I just say what I was thinking, or
I'm thinking, yeah, that
Yes,
be...
whatever theme
okay?
you
That's a
see
good.
ending up in winning.
That's a good plan.
Yeah. So I think the reason The Way of Kings clicked with me so much as a novel, and why it's like my favorite in the series so far, is because of the themes about like the right to life, about how everyone, and this is obviously a theme that continues throughout the whole series, but the whole series kind of starts out with this idea of how valuable is a human life. And Kaladin, he reaches this moment of despair very early on, and then he realizes that he deserves to live. And then we have Sarias, who is kind of like the antithesis of that. He doesn't value human life at all and just throws men away to this meat grinder. And then slowly over the course of the series, you have people's understanding of who deserves to live constantly expanding. Like first in the first book, it's the Bridgemen, who are seen as not valuable, and then you have that brilliant scene at the end where Dalinar kind of talks about how a single human life is worth more than any number of shard blades. And then later on, you see that the same thing happens with the singers, how they were seen as just brainless slaves, but then you realize that they have this whole history behind them, and there's a reason they're that way, and they have just as much of right to life as anyone. And then you even start to see this with the Spren, who obviously very early on, the Spren are shown to be very intelligent, but we keep learning more and more about the Spren and their societies. And I feel like there's this theme of the characters in the series are constantly having to have their what I was thinking of, the reason I said that was because in Rhythm of War, the sibling talks to Navani and says, oh, you're enslaving the Spren to make use of your fabrials. And this is kind of a shock for Navani because this is nothing. It wasn't something she had even considered as morally problematic, that she was making use of the Spren to make all these nifty magical devices. I feel like that's definitely setting something up, and we're going to have to get a continuation of that idea. So, just in general, over the course of the series, we've constantly had the characters having to redefine who deserves to live and who deserves to have a valuable life. And I think that is going to reach some sort of conclusion in this book, whether that be regarding the Spren or something else. But there needs to be some sort of reckoning. I feel like.
I'm not going to say what I know and what I hypothesize. Listeners, if you've been keeping up with our readings and discussions, I think what Nathaniel said fits really well into a specific plot point in Wind and Truth. So, well done. In the future, I think we can talk about that more. That's good. That's smart. Stormlightmemes.
I think a theme that I have started to see more during my rereads and some discussions that I've had with folks is about like forgiveness and reconciliation. Um, so we saw some of that in Rhythm of War with Kaladin and Lyran. Um, I think that there are other characters who have continued barriers and walls between them that we haven't seen the payoff for. Um, so, for example, one notable thing that kind of hung out there during Rhythm of War was the relationship between Adolin and Dalinar. Like we saw at the very beginning, they have this tension between them because of what Dalinar revealed. And Adolin goes on his journey to lasting integrity, kind of as a way to prove who he is, but he's also just not ready to deal with Dalinar because of everything that was revealed. So I think there's this concept of, will they reconcile? Will Adolin forgive him? What does it take to be forgivable? I think this ties in very closely with the continued um, prevalent message about redemption, because part of it is um, there's two sides to narrative redemption. There's the redemption within the story itself, where the characters that the person in question has wronged, if those characters forgive him, then that's considered a redemption. But then you also have the readers. The readers, sometimes the characters forgive that person, but the readers don't. And so in a way, it feels like they're only partially redeemed. And so I feel like that's going to play out. That's going to continue because Dalinar, in a lot of ways, he has been redeemed because of things that he's made right, steps that he's taken. But to a certain extent, he hasn't fully been redeemed because there's this question of how that impacts Adolin going forward, and what is that going to do to his character. Um, and so I think the concept of reconciliation, redemption, forgiveness, all of those are connected, and we'll see that play out with Adolin and Dalinar, Moash and Kaladin. I think that they're going to have a confrontation at some point in the book. Don't know how that's going to pay, like how that's going to. I'm not saying that it will happen in terms of redemption and forgiveness, but I think that it's going to have to be addressed, and then some others. So we like at the end of the book, we saw Venli return to her people, but there's still like some hanging questions about what she did to them. And so I think that's going to continue to play out.
That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you. I try.
I knew I could count on y'all.
Go team.
Yeah. Bridge something. 7? How does everybody feel about 7?
7's a good
I'm good
number.
with 7. Although,
Sounds good.
Okay.
yeah,
Bridge
7's
7.
a good number.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe not 10 for
Or 10. I was
Russia,
going to say
or no?
16. Just
10.
Or 5 since the
yeah,
first book
5.
for the 5th book. I
That's
don't know.
good too.
Bridge 5?
That's good too.
16.
I can see 16, considering there's the 16 medals and all that.
And the
so
16 shards. 16 shards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, because the copper mine is called the 17th shard.
Right.
Bridge 1, because we're number 1.
Ooh, that too.
I like that.
There we
Ooh,
go.
like
Bridge
that.
Okay.
1. Go Bridge
All right.
1.
Yeah. Bridge 1.
Bridge 4 has
Go Bridge
nothing on
1.
this.
Yeah. Forget Bridge 4. All right. This next question is, again, something that is piggybacking off kind of not concerns, but criticisms raised from previous reviews and discussions, specifically in Oathbringer. Generic Nathaniel, you brought up how Sanderson kind of dropped the non and Dawn in kind of the cast system, describing that level of minutia about the world building. So this question is kind of to discuss what you would like to see regarding world building, and if you have any thoughts about it, how Sanderson's prose may have evolved, and whether you see that as a positive or negative specifically for this book, which I know is a lot to think about, or it may not be that much to think about. So, again, who would like to go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
Just to talk about where you were mentioning. Yeah, so in that earlier episode, if I recall correctly, I was sort of talking about how in the first 2 books in the series, the whole dark eyes, light eyes distinction, and then the more granular distinctions between the non and Dawn levels, 10 of each, I believe, were very important to the story. And Kaladin's whole his whole backstory was very much influenced by his specific place, his specific social standing, and the way he related to other characters, both other dark eyes and light eyes as well, was highly influenced by that background. And then, partly as a result of so many of the characters becoming Knights Radiant, like the main characters, a lot of these distinctions sort of evaporated a little bit. And we no longer see, because we don't have main characters who are like that many main characters, at least, who are part of the lower classes in Roshar, who are part of the lower castes. We don't really get to see that perspective on the world building, so we don't know much about how the resurgence of the Knights Radiant and the kind of Alethi unification that's going on and all of that. We don't know how that's affecting like regular people, I guess. Because, and this is something that happens in a lot of fantasy, I think. Oftentimes you start out with the main characters being like normal people, and then by the end of the series, especially epic fantasy, they become very powerful. And so they lose touch a little bit with the regular folks. I would love to see just more perspectives of just like normal people, if that's in the interludes. Maybe we got a little bit of that, I think, if I recall correctly, in Rhythm of War.
Sure.
But I would I also love how in the interludes in the first 2 books, a lot of them are just not connected to the main plot at all. And they're presumably, a lot of them are setting up things, but I also like how some of them don't really seem to be setting up anything except tangentially. Like we get that one interlude in Oathbringer, I recall, I think, which is of this one girl who's just like trying to read a book and failing consistently. I love stuff like that in the interludes. I think it adds so much depth to the world just to see what regular people are up to. I hope we see more stuff like that, even though I know this is like a finale book. So probably a lot of stuff is going to come together. But I love just like the little irrelevant stuff that makes the world feel really fleshed out.
That makes a lot of sense. Stormlightmemes?
Um, there is something about the world building that I don't know if it's well fleshed out, and I'm just not picking up on it, or if it is intentionally obscured, or if it should be more built out. And that is the history of the Ardentia, because I feel like there was this big thing about, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was like the,
A
yes,
hierarchy.
the hierarchy. Thank you.
Mm.
And that was like
You're
this
welcome.
big thing in Way of Kings and I think Words of Radiance. And they kept it was like this mysterious, dark thing in the history of Roshar that like it was like this um it caused so much tension between normal civilization and the Ardentia. And it puts all of these Ardents in this very distant place. Like they're there, they have their service, and they do what they need to for the society, but it's always at an arm's length. Like, okay, well, don't get too uppity because we don't want another hierarchy. And then it just kind of dropped. Like we don't, and it feels like there's some sort of darkness there. So there's like a lack of trust with the Ardentia, and I feel like over the course of the last two books, it fell to the wayside. And I don't know if it's just because I'm not picking up on it because I'm not as focused and it's actually still there. But I feel like it just I want to know more, and I feel like we're losing touch with that thread. So either it actually wasn't that big of a deal and it seemed like it was in the first two books, but I feel like it was dropped and I want it to be resumed. So,
That makes a lot of sense. If I recall correctly, it definitely was dropped.
hmm
And as you were talking about it as a kind of like dark thing that's off to the side, there are two other dark things that are off to the side that I think will come up in 6 through 10.
hmm
The first is anything that has to do with Dustbringers and the surge of division.
true.
The second, or the third, I guess, because there's the hierarchy and the Ardents, and then division and Dustbringers. The third is a Lift who is no longer doing shenanigans.
Mm.
And we know Lift is going to be a primary character. So I think the back half is going to be really dark.
Mm. I think, and now this is the optimistic version of this. I am a consistently optimistic person, I think. I think that because we've been told that Lift is going to be a prevalent character in the back half. I think that she's going to be almost like the leader of the new generation of Radiance because I think we're getting set up for like we have Gavinor and we have
Mm-hmm.
Oridon. So we have like
Yep.
I think the gap is like 20 years, 15 years between now and the back.
15. I think he's saying like 10 to
Yeah.
15 now.
So Oridon is going to be about 17, 18, and Gavinor is going to be like early 20s, which puts them at the right age for being the next round of Radiance. Lift is going to be like around Yasna's age. And so what I would love to see is that Lift doesn't let go of that like quirky humor and that spirit, and she's leading them with that. Like I think that that would be, even though she's older because she is aging and everything, like but she still holds on to that spirit. That's what I would like to see, and I'm hoping that that's what it's. gearing us towards.
We'll find out in the next 10 years.
Oh,
or longer.
Or longer.
yeah, reminding
All
us
right,
of
Griff.
that timeline. Okay, here's a prediction that has nothing to do with the
Okay.
book, like the story itself. I have a
Sure.
prediction that Brandon Sanderson is going to surprise us and tell us, "Just kidding, I've written all 5 books, and here they are." And the back half is going to be revealed. Like, no, that's a an educated wish. As,
An educated wish.
yes.
I would say that you're wrong, but I don't really trust him anymore, to be
Yeah.
honest, not to do that.
Ah.
After the secret project thing, it's just like I don't believe anything he says about anything
Yeah.
when he says he's not working on a
Yeah.
book.
When his State of the Sanderson came out and he was talking about how long it's going to be until he finishes, like he resumes the Stormlight Archive, which he has said is like his magnum opus. That is,
Right.
Stormlight Archive has been his baby. Like that was, he's been working on that since high school, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
So for him to just let it go for 10 years, I don't believe him. I really don't.
That's why he's going to write Horneater. He's going to do a little,
Yeah, well, at least get that.
a
Yeah.
little snack.
Just a little tasty taste.
Yeah. Griff, what do you wish to see world building wise? I see.
A very astute point.
Griff.
Oh no.
Hold on. I can get him.
Okay.
Delicious lies. I made that a button on my thing. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Griff, did that work? Did that summon you? All right, then we're going to move on. This next portion is brought to you by me still. This part will be spoiler-free of Wind and Truth, all the preview chapters. If you want to... No, we're not even going to talk about the back of the book blurb. Fully, but Cosmere spoilers. All the Cosmere spoilers. So, spoilers. That was too many spoilers. There we go. We have 3 questions and then bingo time. All right. The first question, and this is not going to Griff until he states that he is here. So we'll start with Nathaniel on this one. What does Kelsier want with collect and or ba Edo Mishram?
Yeah, I think what Kelsier wants in general is immortality and a kind of a permanent physical form. I'm not sure how he's going on that, but he seems to at least have some kind of stable form at this point. But I think he's always constantly trying to find more stable ways to live, and he also wants to get off of Scadrial, which I think he's trapped on, if I'm correct.
I believe so. That
okay.
sounds right.
So I think I'm not sure why. Is it because he has some special connection to Scadrial, or is it similar to like the Heralds?
I think his cognitive shadow is locked there. Like its connection is to Scadrial, so that's what I. You know what? Somebody in the comments is going to tell us if we're wrong, so we don't need to worry about that. Let's just go with it.
Well, the reason I say that is because the heralds are like in a similar situation. Like
That's right.
Kelek also seems to want to get off of his home planet, so maybe he's hoping to get some information from him about, or collaborate with him about finding ways to escape their respective predicaments. I don't know what that would entail or what that has to do with Baidomisham, though.
I see.
I'm hoping somebody else has ideas.
Stormlightmemes.
Yeah, my gut reaction is also the combination of the physical body and a free roaming physical body, because he does seem to want to have access to the other planets in the Cosmere. So a free roaming physical body and immortality. What his end goal is, it's hard to say, because face value is that he wants to protect Scadrial based on the conversations that he had during Lost Metal. So it seems like he wants the power and ability to protect Scadrial. But that, like, Kelsier doesn't come across to me as an altruist. Like, he doesn't seem to just want to do things for the greater good. He has to have like some sort of personal investment into it. And so why he's so protective of Scadrial, I'm not entirely sure. And I I'm not buying that that is his full motivation. I don't think we know everything that he wants out of this. And part of me thinks, and I could be wrong about the um, how this played out, but in Rhythm of War, the blade that Shallan got from the Ghost Bloods, it had the same sort of jewel to or
Yes.
gemstone to trap Collect's soul into it, or his.
Right. It had Rasium,
Mhm.
which would allow the transfer of investiture, plus an empty gemstone.
Right. So I think that he wanted to use that um, to either absorb the herald level of investiture slash power, to be like, that's where I'm thinking that it's going. What he wants to do with the power, I think that's still up in the air.
Sure. Sure.
To be fair, I think. Oh, we're gonna.
Oh, go ahead.
I think Kelsier's motivations throughout his time in the books are sort of like he makes it up as he goes
That's
along.
fair.
His initial motivations in the Final Empire are, he basically wants revenge on the Lord
Mhm.
Ruler and to free the Ska. And then after that happens, or after he dies, and then gets trapped in the Well of Ascension, his goals continually change. Like he tries to help Vin, he tries to, now he finds out about Ruin, so he's trying to deal with that issue. He sort of seems to deal with problems as they
Yeah.
arise, and so I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like playing it by ear. Like his main goal is to just keep on
Yeah.
living and expanding.
I'm going to throw a hot take theory out
Ooh.
because I can no longer use the word spicy.
You
uh,
can.
I'm
I'm not going to
not
tell Book
anymore.
Talk that you use the word spicy.
Nope.
I'm not going to
It's too
tattle.
late.
Anyway, go
It's
ahead.
too late. It's ruined.
No.
It's ruined for
Ruin.
me.
Huh.
I'll still use it, just not in relation to
Okay.
books, I guess. That's fine.
Mhm.
So, in Rhythm of War, the epigraphs in part 4 are from Kalek, and Kalek specifically knows where Ba Edo Mishram is. I think, and this is the aluminum hat theory, Kelsier learned. Sorry, it's so pretentious when I say it like that.
Yep.
Not that the French are inherently pretentious.
We can say that. I don't think they listen to this.
It is the canonical
Yes.
pronunciation,
Hold on,
though. So.
And we
that
can
is the
all
canonical.
agree that that's dumb.
Hold on, I need to look up what percent of the podcast listeners are.
Or French.
5% is Canadian.
Oh, never mind. I'm so sorry to all of you French Canadians who I just dismissed. My bad. That's
France
on me.
France didn't even make the cut. France is not on our list of nobody from France has listened to the podcast. So
Okay. So if you are French Canadian.
oh no, there they are. Less than 0.1%.
Oh, okay.
That's like
It's like one
Yeah.
person.
probably, yeah, given that like not that many people have listened to
And
it.
to that one person, bonjour. Hat tip.
We're not trying to single you out.
Yeah.
But in a way we
Yeah.
are. Sorry, Kelsier. So Kelsier learned, sorry, it's pretentious when I say it. Kelsier learned about how Ba Edo Mishram gave the forms of power to the singers. And Kelsier wants to bring Ba Edo Mishram to Scadrial to give all Scadrians forms of power. Complete aluminum hat theory.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I could see that. Because if he.
So yeah, how would you do that? You would have to trap Ba'edo Meshram in some kind of stone, and then
And then have the
Yeah.
ability to transfer that
and he would,
investiture, that highly invested item,
yeah,
across the cognitive realm.
I could see him hiring the Ghost Bloods to do that
Yeah.
somehow.
I'm going to look up the epigraphs real quick so that I know.
I'm good with
what
wearing
Kalek
that
said.
foil hat too.
Sorry, it's Kalak. Kalak's epigraphs.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Wait,
It's fine.
isn't Kalek the? You mean instead of Kalek?
Yeah. I mean,
Kalek,
the
I,
same.
I
Yeah,
thought
because it's
I
it's
thought Kalek
spelled
was.
both. It's with E's and with A's. And I read somewhere that there was a specific time in Rosharan history where it shifted from one to the other. And I want to say it was,
I think Kalek was the
yeah,
original. What's or,
and then it became Kalak. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the epigraphs here that are important to this theory, I'm writing answers for you here because something glimmers deep within me, a fragment of memory of what I once was. I was there when Ba Edo Mishram was captured. I know the truth of the radiance, the recreance, and the Nile spread. I tell you, I write it. You must release the captive unmade. She will not fade as I will. If you leave her as she is, she will remain imprisoned for eternity. So, from the fact that they were saying that if you put Yezrian in a gemstone, he fades. If you do the same to Kalak, he'll fade. And you do the same to Ba Edo Mishram, she/it won't fade. She is in a gemstone and ready to be transported across the cognitive realm. That's the spicy theory.
Okay.
That's so it's possible. Plausible.
it's very cool.
That would be neat. I mean, he still has time to rewrite the book, so if he listens to this, he'd be like, "Yeah, that's cool. Let's do that."
Yep.
Okay. This is probably going to be a quick question. We'll start with Stormlightmemes. I think. Yes. Will any other shard not currently on Roshar intervene in this book?
Yes, but I don't know who.
Okay. That's a cop-out.
Well, because Wit has, cast the net far and wide, so I feel like somebody has to answer the call.
He has been casting that net for 4
Yes.
books.
So it would be anticlimactic for all of that effort to yield no shard stepping in. I would say that the most likely candidate might be Harmony, but I don't remember any hints that that happened in the Lost Metal, because I think doesn't Stormlight Archive happens not no
Before.
it happens
Yeah,
before Era 2, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
by
Yeah.
like 5-ish
So
years.
I don't remember seeing any sort of hints that Harmony did anything on Roshar. And I think I say the Lost Metal because Hoid was very active in the Lost Metal and it would have come from him. But I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Yeah, I know Sanderson stated specifically he wanted to write Lost Metal and all of Era 2 without any connection to what happens
Mm,
in Stormlight.
yeah.
That doesn't exclude Harmony coming out and being like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
here. What's up? But yeah, I see your point. I see your point.
Yeah.
I do think that earlier point you made about it would be anticlimactic if no shards showed up after Hoid has done all this stuff.
Hmm.
Um, kind of like how Dawnshard might not be important to the story, the Stormlight
That's
story at
true.
all. Then it's actually it's like a negative space painting.
Hmm.
It's showing us that the shards may or may not care,
Yeah.
and that's important for other things that will happen later.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's a sad point.
Mm.
Nathaniel, what are you thinking here?
I think I tend to agree with you, Alex, on this point that probably no shards will intervene. Um, because like, yes, Sazed could do something, but we've already discussed like that doesn't seem likely because it's not mentioned in the Lost Metal. Um, and regarding the other shards, most of them haven't had like any real impact on the Stormlight Archive. I don't think it would feel like it's sort of coming out of nowhere if one of them just shows up and plays a huge role in the story. If it happens at all, it would be like very subtle.
Sure.
Um, but there's already a lot going down in this book, so I feel like it's not necessary for something like that to happen. Um,
I think I
yeah.
agree. Yeah, it would have like we do see, like we've already discussed 3 times, Hoyd writing the letters. So there is a
Mm-hmm.
precedent for movement, but we haven't seen any positive confirmation. And I definitely think we should have gotten interludes even as far back as Way of Kings with something happening. One of my favorite sci-fi books, A Memory Called Peace. No, a memory called Empire. And A Desolation Called Peace. It's a duology. Uh, does use that exact premise that something is happening in the background that nobody is responding to in the first book, and then in the second book, it is the plot point, and they did it so well. Oh my god. Anyways, go read it if you
A
like
Memory Called
sci-fi.
Empire.
Yeah, Memory Called Empire.
I'll have to look it up.
It is. It deals with the theme of what is you, both self and alien human universe level, and it does it really, really well. I might go back and listen to that after I finish listening to The Stand. Cool. This is a weird question. There we go. What? Why did I write that? Okay. We're going to play a game. And this is also something that I'm going to come back and determine who won. How many world hoppers will be mentioned by name in this book? The closest person, it doesn't matter if you go over or under, the closest person will win something. At this point, it'll be a case of mini Coke Zeros, Oreo flavored. Please sponsor us, Coke. All right. That was shameless.
I have it on good authority that the person who wins this is going to get tickets to uh Kelsier's no, the Lord Ruler's Fun Emporium at the Silverlight University. I heard that through the grapevine somewhere.
I think we could probably set that
Okay.
up.
Is that going to be the theme of the ball next year?
Ooh, it better be.
That would be wonderful.
Could be.
The Lord Ruler's Fun
Mhm.
Emporium. Yep. That's. I swear to God, I don't do drugs. But sometimes I look back at what I've written. I'm like, why?
When you
Where did that
I
come
have
from?
the notes up, and when you deleted that, it did make me sad. I was hoping that you would read that out loud.
It did. It felt out of place.
No, it's great.
Nope.
It was hilarious. There you go. Put it back in there.
All right.
The Lord
All right.
Ruler's Wonderland Emporium. It's genius.
It does make a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Top notch.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
The LRWE, famous.
okay, so the question is how many world hoppers are going to be mentioned by name? When you say by
Yes.
name, you mean like they're the name that we know them by in their original story?
What I mean is any character that their name is mentioned, it could be. It doesn't have to be a name we know them by. It does have to be. What I'm trying to say is that, like in one of the Mistborn books, Hoid shows up, but his name is never mentioned. He's just like
Right.
uh, a man with a hawkish face and dark hair is talking to the bride and groom at a party or something like that,
Mhm.
at a wedding, and that is who we assume is Hoid.
Mhm.
I'm saying like we know the character's name,
Mhm.
and at some point, either in the book or post book, Sanderson confirms that they are a world hopper.
Gotcha.
Does that include shards?
Yes.
Hmm.
Oh, it does.
Any
Okay.
anybody who's not anybody not born on Roshar and living or dead. I know that's getting complicated, but that counts.
I'm going to say 7.
You're gonna say 7.
Yes. It
All right.
feels right.
Okay. Nathaniel.
I'm going to say 9, which is a very sacrilegious number in Foreignism.
Mm.
That's
But
true.
I don't care.
True.
It's
I'm not
on
gonna
brand.
make it 10. I don't want to risk it.
It's
If it's 8, it'll be a tie. I'm gonna say because Griff's not here, unless he is. Griff, if you're there, give us a message.
Now I'm very
Nothing.
concerned about Griff. I hope he's okay.
I hope he is too. Now I'm concerned. I wasn't concerned until you said you were
Oh
concerned.
no. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that happens. It's fine. I'm gonna say 15.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I have no basis for that number. It's just a guess.
That's fair.
We'll find out who wins. I'll make an episode of it. I'll cut this part and put it into that and announce the winner
Awesome.
if I remember to. I'll set a reminder. That's fine. Okay. This is the final thing that we are going to do. Still spoiler free for Wind and Truth. For those of us who have read the preview chapters, we are specifically not going to mention anything that has happened in the preview chapters. We are going to go around round robin style, mentioning things that we think are going to happen in the book. You do not have to explain it unless it's complicated or you feel like it. So I am going to start with Moash is redeemed. Stormlightmemes.
I will have to say I'm a bit confused because that one is listed under bad examples
I was thinking the same thing.
in your notes.
And yep, that
Are they
yeah.
bad examples because you didn't want other people to take the ones that you thought of, or
Um so what happened between writing the notes, if you'll notice they were written on 9/14,
Yes.
and it is now
Uh huh.
10/11. I have slept approximately 27 times since I wrote those notes.
Okay.
I also, if you can believe this, did not look at the bad examples before I wrote my examples down or my things down. It's believable. So that is I'm gonna stick with it.
Okay.
people can change their
Yeah,
minds.
That yeah.
That's a theme in the Stormlight
it's very
Archive, I
true.
think.
Yep.
You're also free to steal any of the other
Hmm.
examples, um, if you need.
Okay. I have a theory. It's kind of a it's it's a low stakes theory. Like if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't really change anything. Um,
Okay.
I am not convinced that Hellerand is actually dead. I think that he's going to come back, and it turns out that he's part of the Ghost Bloods, and he is a world hopper.
Cool.
Do you?
I appreciate the boldness of that. I hadn't thought. Yeah.
I
There's
think
there's a very specific. There are two main reasons why.
I would love to hear
Okay,
them.
when in every fantasy book, if somebody dies and they're identified as having died, but their face is unrecognizable, and it's just assumed that that is the person because that is who, like, they were supposed to be there, and so everybody was like, yeah, that's that guy. If that person's body or face is beyond recognition, they show up later as, no, that was this other guy. So it is very specifically described that the assassin who tried to kill Amram on the battlefield, his face was so messed up by Kaladin's blade that they could not identify who he was. Like Amram says that verbatim. And so my red flags went off during my third reread. Um, and then the two times that his death is explained to the reader, the first time is from Maraise when he's telling Shallan about it. And then right afterwards, Pattern buzzes and says, delicious lies. And Shallan says, yes, he is. She says something about how half of what he said is true, half of what he said are lies, and she doesn't know which ones are which. And that was in the section where he described um, uh, Helleran's death. And then the second time that we find out about Helleran's death is from the diagram. There's a section where Taravangian is talking about it, and it is listed with other predictions that are later proven to be false because the diagram has been misinterpreted in that specific section. So I don't think he's actually dead.
Wow. I'm a convert. Halloran is alive.
And again, if it turns out to be false, it doesn't really change a whole lot. But if it is real, I'm going to be so stoked.
That will be
Mm-hmm.
nice. That'll be all right. That was it. That topped it. That no, I'm just kidding. Nathaniel.
I don't think that can be topped.
That's true.
That's a peak theory. Um, well, if we're just doing predictions for stuff I think is going to happen,
Yeah.
I think this is kind of a freebie. I think we're going to get a scene that confirms how and why Toln didn't break, because that was something that was already been confirmed, but not in the actual books.
That's right.
I think we're going to get that confirmed in the books, and maybe in like a Toln POV or something like that.
We might also get it. I'm trying to debate if this is spoilers or not. I don't think it is. If you have been paying attention to the Cosmere RPG Kickstarter, that by the time this goes out will be up on BackerKit, the campaign that they have called Stonewalkers features 3 heralds on the front of the cover. And if you go look at what the story is about, we might get some of that Toln action in there. So I think very soon it will be canonically stated. I think it could happen here in Wind and Truth. That's a good theory. That is a little freebie, maybe. I am going to say that we are going to see a dragon on the page, on screen, and not like one made out of light weaving, like the Dog and the Dragon. I'm talking like legit cultivation is back, baby. Levels of dragon is on the screen. Stormlightmemes?
I also had that written down, so I very agree.
Wait, Griff is back?
Indeed. Sorry about that. Apparently, Riverside caused my phone to overheat.
Whoa. We were getting too many hot takes.
Apparently. So my phone decided to shut everything down until my phone was no longer overheating. So that's...
Well, we're here now.
exciting. Indeed.
And you can tell us 2 theories that you think are going to happen in Wind and Truth that are not spoilery for the preview chapters.
Okay, so Kaladin is going to go on a grand adventure and come back as the Warax because he speaks for the wind, and he's going to take everybody on Roshar to task for fucking with the climate.
Alex, does that count as a spoiler for...
If you've been paying attention to the books, no. If you haven't been paying attention to the books, yes.
Oh, okay.
So
it's also entirely not a serious answer. So
that's true,
right?
But it does contain enough of a hint.
You can cut out my question.
Uphold my vow. And we're not going to expand upon that so that we keep Nathaniel confused.
I'm very confused.
Great.
I don't know what's going on.
Stay that way. I am going to cut that, Griff. I do appreciate the hilarity.
Yes.
So now for a couple of real ones.
Couple of real ones. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what I can talk about without it being a spoiler.
Yes. So the trick I did was think about characters we haven't seen a lot of in the preview chapters and talk about them.
That's fair.
Indeed. Also, I've already stated that a dragon's going to be on screen. Nathaniel said we're going to find out why Toln didn't break, or how Toln didn't break. And Stormlightmemes had a very well-supported theory about how Helleran's not dead.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Indeed. Once this episode is published,
I think we're going to see Aelin become a Knight Radiant.
Okay. Solid.
That's one.
Okay.
I also think that we're going to figure out how to heal is it called Deadeye
They
for the
are.
Spren?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Deadeye Spren. We're going to figure out how to heal them.
Cool. That's 2. Let's go back to Stormlightmemes. Or have you done 2? You've
I've
done
only
1,
done
right?
one.
Yeah. We'll do Stormlightmemes.
I think that Kaladin's fifth ideal is going to be about um, something about having to choose the right person to protect, and he is going to have to pick between protecting and saving Dalinar or Adolin, and he's going to choose Dalinar.
Ooh. Oh.
Brutal.
I'm sorry.
Damn. Okay. That's
Trolley problems in the
yeah,
Stormlight Archive.
And
the best
it goes
problem.
I'm sorry. I'm really obsessed with this. Because a lot of Kaladin's arc, a lot of his character development follows the pattern of his flashbacks in The Way of Kings, and the lessons that he learned from Lirin. And one of the last lessons he learned was when Rashon and Riller were on the table, and he had to save one versus the other. And the dad wanted the son to stay alive, but he couldn't, and he had to save the father and let the son die.
Oh yeah.
I'm also really sorry. I'm really hoping I'm wrong.
I don't think you are. Don't think you're wrong at all. Okay, Nathaniel, maybe give us one of your happy ones.
I don't know if this is happy or sad.
I'll take neutral.
I I think we're gonna see one of the main Spren get put into like a physical form by Ishar. Possibly Syl, because she's the one who's going with Kaladin to Shinovar. I feel like something like that could happen.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm gonna say Dalinar is gonna die. That's a theory. Griff, back to you.
Hmm. Am I doing 2 more theories
Now,
or
just one now.
just one? Okay. Huh. I think yeah, we've already talked about it before, but I do believe we're going to see Dalinar pick up uh, Honor's shard, or the energy, I suppose, that's still around. So
Sure. Okay. Stormlightmemes.
I think that Renarin is going to become king of Alethkar.
Really? Okay.
I like that.
Okay. Nathaniel.
This one is halfway facetious,
Okay.
but I really like the Bladelin idea, which is that Maya will wield Adolin as a blade.
I need to see that happen.
I don't know how that would work, but it would be so funny.
Grab him by the boots, just swing him around. Love it.
that would be amazing.
Okay. I think that we're gonna see division be used on screen for the first time. And now for reverse order, Nathaniel, you get to go again.
Cool. I think we're gonna get a Khandra, possibly, because we know that there is one somewhere on
Yep.
Roshar. I think there might be a Khandra reveal.
I like it. Stormlightmemes?
Shoot. I really should have written mine down.
Yep.
Oh, I had one about lift. She still hasn't had the 10th pancake, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
Because it was spiritual.
I think that was one of them. I think that her friend Gox is going to write it into law that they have to create a 10th pancake so that she can finally have the 10th pancake.
Nice. Okay. Griff?
I think that we're going to be introduced to a Storm Ward that is going to become a main character in the back half.
Okay. Okay. Storm Warden's getting some love. I'll go. And I realize a lot of the ones I wrote down are stupid. So.
But it
Hold on.
doesn't matter because this is for funsies.
Just say them. It's for funsies.
No.
Yeah,
for
this
funsies.
is funsies between
It's
friends.
not for funsies. It's all right. I'll say it. Urithiru becomes a spaceship. Urithiru launches. Whoosh.
I like that theory.
Yeah, Navani.
I swear there's like somebody asked Brandon about that, and he said that wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah, he also says a
feel
lot
like-
of things aren't going to happen, and then they do.
That's true.
And we're
Yeah,
like,
that's true. You can't trust him about anything.
trust-
So.
No. Yeah. I mean, I guess he does Raffo things, but the opportunity, it would be such a cool spaceship. Firing space lasers. The
It'll be a
possibilities
sight to
there.
behold.
Especially because it is self-sufficient on the food thing, and apparently even oxygen,
That's right. Exactly.
on top of which it seems to be its own source of investiture.
Yes. Precisely. It's perfect.
So yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think Urithiru would make a good spaceship. I'm not saying that's where he's going with it, but
Oh, it is.
I don't disagree that I think it would make a good one.
Maybe it's not already a spaceship. Maybe they'll retrofit it to become a spaceship.
Ooh. Okay. Skadrians come onto the planet and be like, "This, you know what this would be good for? Spaceship." All right. Stormlightmemes.
I think that Wit is finally going to be able to have noodles on Roshar. Have you heard about that? Like he is in search of good noodles, and one of the reasons why he
Oh.
doesn't like Roshar is because he can't find noodles.
There you go. Okay.
So I think he's.
Okay.
I don't know why the last two have been food related. Maybe I'm just hungry, but there you go.
Hey, that counts. Nathaniel.
So I think in every Stormlight Archive book so far, there has been like a story about one of the 10 Fools, and in each book you get a new story about a 10 Fool. I think there's going to be another one in this book.
Good theory.
That's a very low stakes,
Very low stakes.
completely irrelevant thing, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. Griff.
I think we're finally going to see, or actually have, some direct interaction between. Oh shoot! Is that spoilers?
Yes.
I'm going to say it, and then you can exit out because I can't remember if we've seen it before now.
Nathaniel. Cover
Have
your
we
ears.
seen? Have we seen Kelsier in Stormlight before any of the preview chapters for Wind and Truth?
He hasn't been named.
He's been not named as Kelsier.
I don't think he's even been named in the preview chapters, but
We have not seen him. We've only
haven't
heard
seen him.
Thydakar mentioned.
Yes. Lord of Scars.
Okay.
I have read the prologue for what it's worth.
Okay.
Okay, great. Yes.
So I know what you're talking about. Assuming
Yeah.
there's not more you're talking about, which I don't know.
We're not going to go into it. We're going to
Okay.
leave you guessing.
Oh, and that actually leads into a bigger theory, but that's neither here nor there.
Not tonight, it's not. You're right. Okay, so wait,
I know.
what was the theory?
Oh, my initial theory was going to be the fact that we were going to see some direct interaction between Thydacar and at least somebody in Wind Truth. I'm not entirely sure who, but somebody. Possibly Shallan. Probably Shallan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that works. That doesn't have to be cut. That's good. We'll do one more. We'll do one more each, and then we will call it a time of day. No, night. We're gonna call it a night because it is night. We don't need to. Okay. I'm gonna say that the final shard that we don't know, the 16th shard, is going to be named.
Do you have a
I like
name
that.
prediction?
I say it again, Nathaniel.
Do you have a name prediction?
I do, and it's based off of a spoiler Q&A stream that Sanderson did a little while ago. It actually wasn't a spoiler Q&A stream. It was a Q&A stream, and somebody brought up Wit's epilogue in the Way of Kings, when he's talking about the three great values or something like that. And they were invention, artistry, and intellect. And this happened after Yumi and the Nightmare Painter came out. Have you read Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, Nathaniel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have virtuosity, and we know that invention is a shard. And so the questioner was like, "Does this mean that intellect is a shard?" And before Sanderson's assistant could get through the question, Sanderson was like, "I'm going to stop you right there. You're very smart. You're very smart. I'm going to stop you." So that is intellect or something to do with intellect is likely the 16th shard. To me, that is proof enough until it's not.
Do we already know what the survival one is?
That would be that one. That one is smart enough to know that it
Also,
needs to hide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what would it be like? It's a good word for that.
Smarty pants.
Tenacity. No, not really.
I mean, like wisdom, intellect. Let's look up wisdom synonyms real quick. And
so we're thinking like intelligence and combine that with like a will to survive, a will to live.
Prudence. Insight.
Yeah, could be.
Foresight. Caution. That'd be a weird one. Astuteness.
Caution would be a funny name for a shard, actually.
Caution would be hilarious.
Like
somebody taking up the shard at the Shattering of Adalnasium, and they were just really not feeling it. They were like, "This is probably not safe."
Bad idea, guys. We shouldn't have done this.
Poise, apparently.
Anxiety.
Hesitation.
Yeah, anxiety. Say it again, Stormlightmemes.
Hesitation.
The
shard of hesitation.
Could be judgment, but I don't know. Judgment. All right. Stormlightmemes, what's your last one?
So in every story so far, Wit has comforted at least one person with a story, sometimes two. I think in this one, he's going to receive comfort with a story.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Whoa, now. That's good. I like that. Nathaniel?
This is maybe also a bit free. I think it's basically been confirmed that Renarin and Rlain are going to be kind of a thing. I predict that that's going to happen in this book starting, because they haven't had much page time together.
That's true.
So I think that, and we know that. I think in the blurb. Oh,
Yeah.
Are we
Well,
talking about the back blurb? Yeah.
I think.
Or,
Yeah, I think the blurb is fair game. I think the blurb is fair.
And we
Okay.
do know from the
'Cause-
end of Rhythm of War that they are like in the same physical location.
Yeah. So I predict we're going to get at least some scenes with them that are like building that up, building
Okay.
some
I like
romantic tension.
Sure.
I agree.
Griff, what is your final theory here?
My final theory is that a significant portion of the singers are going to rebel against Odium and join the Knights Radiant.
Okay. That makes
Like
a lot
that.
of sense. Well, there you have it, folks. We have 2 or 3 different contests going. If you would like to put your guesses down in the comments, we will have second and third place winners. All of them will be fictitious prizes stated as a reply to your comment. But we encourage you nonetheless. Real quick, surprise question without going into depth. Just state a book that you're reading right this moment. Not right this moment, I guess, but probably like which book are you reading currently? Stormlightmemes.
I can tell you which one that I just finished.
That's fine.
Okay.
That counts.
Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo.
Cool.
Oh, that is such a good book.
I need to recover. It was.
Are you going to be reading the Scarred, the King of
Like the next duology?
yeah, the Rule of Wolves and is it King of Scars and Rule of Wolves?
I think it's King of Scars. I think that's the next one. I haven't decided yet. I have heard mixed things.
I would say do it.
Huh?
I would personally recommend. I would say do so.
Apparently, this was a good set of
Personally.
books.
Okay.
Very nice.
I am very seriously taking that because I had been on the fence, and I think you just convinced me.
There you go.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Griff, what book are you reading right now?
I am still on the Will of the Many.
That makes sense. Nathaniel?
So I just finished reading Children of Dune.
Okay.
It's my first time reading through the series, but I'm also reading like a lot of nonfiction recently.
Sure.
I'm reading a book right now called Empires of the Word, which is like a history of world languages and language families.
Neat.
And how they spread and evolve, and like why certain languages were very successful historically and why others just sort of died out, even though they were sometimes subject to similar circumstances and pressures. It's really interesting.
That
but yeah.
sounds incredibly interesting to me. I am currently I'm listening to The Stand. I'm reading Ghost Station by Barnes, and I'm also reading my grandfather's memoir.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Lots of interesting bits about Nazi Austria in there. Because he was a boy when World War II was happening, and he lived in Austria.
Wow.
Yeah. Fascinating. All right. With that, typically, as you know, in the past, we've signed off, and I've had the guest host do the final bit. I have given thought about how we should do it for 2 guest hosts, and I came up with nothing. So,
well, it's the thought that counts.
It is the thought. Yes. Also, calculators; those count. What I'm thinking is that one of you will say the word that will replace journey, and one of you, and one of you will replace the word that is destination. And so, who wants to replace journey? Who wants to be the person that replaces the word journey? I know this is weird. Just go with it.
Sure, I will.
Okay,
so this is like Mad Libs in a way.
This is Mad Libs.
Okay.
For the third portion of the first ideal of the Knights Radiant. Nathaniel, you'll say before and whatever you replace destination with.
Okay.
All right. Griff, sign us off.
All right. Until next time, don't panic, world hoppers.
Life before death, strength before weakness.
Chicken dances.
Before garlic naan.
Perfect.